So, everyone, this is another edition of the Mind of Aubrey podcast. And here we have, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Perkins.
Okay. And I hope that you're having a great day today. And first off, I want to just tell all my listeners that Elizabeth Perkins is someone that, we connected off of a TikTok and, just supporters of each other in the form of empowerment and building up our society. And I put out a post today about if anybody felt like, being interviewed because I had, a array of topics I wanted to talk about, but also gives, a person a chance to, be on a platform or outlet to where those who don't know about them, they can become more familiar. And, Elizabeth was the first one to answer to the call, and I definitely appreciate that. And I just want to say, on air, I thank you very much for doing that because it means a lot to see people, show support by action. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. So, as far as your upbringing and everything, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware. That's the
Okay.
first state.
Okay, the first state.
Yes.
How ironic. The first state, and you the first person to answer about the interview. Ain't that something?
And you
That's
know
just how it
what?
works.
And
Hmm.
and our new president, Biden, is from my state.
Okay, that's three ones right there. Okay, okay, three ones. Okay, nothing wrong with that. So, growing up in Delaware, how was that?
It was kind of it was interesting growing up in Delaware because at that time I was a Valley girl. We lived in Airport Villa, and I grew up in a different time, and I think that with the musicians and everything that came out at that time, yet I was a young girl. I like to think that my era was fantastic.
That sounds good.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure anybody listening, they can go back and do their homework about Delaware and just any famous or historical figure that has come from there, so that way they can kind of definitely be caught up on what came from that area. And
Yes.
so, growing up, what were some of your hobbies?
I loved art. I loved ballet, modeling, dancing, sketching, writing, reading, anything that had to do with a creative mind. I was there for
Oh wow! So you could write a book, you were light on your feet, you had it going on.
it. Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So that's great. And so, which one of your hobbies did you take more of a liking to?
I think I first it's two because I love to sketch. Um, and my second one that I really fell in love with and stayed with is writing.
Okay, writing. So when it
Mhm.
comes to writing, what type of writer are you?
Well, I'm a visual writer for one, and my first book was Testament of a Child to Heighten Awareness of Child Abuse. And the second book that I have written is called The New World, The Chaos Begins. And it's about the uprising and a unity of a people coming together. And the third book, which is out now, which is called Journey of Faith, and you can catch that on Kindle eBooks. I have a few pages that's open for our readers, and that is actually stepping into my journey coming up as a young girl and sharing all my ideas. And actually, that book, Journey of Faith, is also to heighten awareness of our women and who we are.
That sounds very phenomenal. With everything that you said, and I hope that everybody does go back and they listen to that part about you explaining on your ebook, and also too, I will
Yes.
make sure to when I post this, I will make sure to add that in there as well, so they can find you and all your links and everything. They'll be able to see what all
Mhm.
you got going on from day to day.
Yes.
So with that being said, becoming a young adult, how was that for you? Like, becoming a young adult and things that you went through at that time.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm a survivor, still surviving. I've came through uh, molestation and being assaulted, uh, coming into my 10 or 9 years. And I survived that. And I survived that. A lot of people that go through with molestation or being raped, they stay in a fight or flight movement, and they're either going to go into being promiscuous or drinking. Me myself, I decided to take my mind into other things and to be a voice for someone else that doesn't have a voice.
Wow. I mean, that's things that happen to people at an early age. It does leave a lasting
Mhm.
effect in any type of relation or relationships that they have with other people, and they can
Yes.
have a wall that's taller than any building you've ever seen because they want to make sure they stay guarded at all times. So that's it's great
Hmm.
that you were able to get through that, and then at this point in your life, helping others come up who feel like they're at the bottom, and so that makes a huge difference. I def-
Yeah.
and yeah.
Actually, if I can interject, um, when I um, when I wrote Testament of a Child, that I was afraid to give birth to that book, but when it did, it literally changed my whole life to be the advocate and the person that I am. But it literally changed me and made me stronger on the inside. So I literally connected and faced a lot of my fears. So now I step into my greatness, and I'm not as timid to jump in the water.
Okay. And anybody that's up and coming, getting ready to write their first book, do you have any tidbits or anything you would like to, tell them as far as, in the beginning stages?
The beginning stages, when you're writing a book, don't try to name the book as you're writing. Let the book give itself its name, because it will do that. And if you have want to use in the book, never throw it away, because you can also use that in another idea or of that you it might be a second book. You never know.
Yeah. And speaking of that, like my last book, you know, what I wanted to do, like as you were saying, I wanted to just write and let it flow.
Right.
And at the end, and that's the good thing about when you are a writer
Mhm.
and you about to put out a project, you can go back at the end, read through each chapter or each section and say, okay, this has this flow or this has this,
Mhm.
type of topic that will fit it perfectly,
Yeah.
because sometimes what people will do is they'll have a topic that could be perceived as the opposite of what they're talking about, but
Mhm.
then in the end they tie it all together,
Right.
so that makes it's a unique feng shui to that. And it's great that you're able to give that advice to everybody out there that is a reader or anybody that's possibly starting something, about just don't be focused on the that end goal. Understand it takes
Mhm.
steps to be able to get to where you can walk up in your purpose.
Exactly. I agree.
Okay,
Hmm.
that's great. And so to kind of get into one of the questions that I put out, as far as with the interview, in your opinion, what is the definition of love?
Oh, that's a good one. The definition of love is, to me, is loving someone from the seed. You have to love all their inner scars. You have to love them with everything that they are, and you can't forget the person that you met, because that's the love that you have. Once you start to change a person, then you start to lose that love, because you're having them now uh, get rid of something that you fell in love with. So I always say, love the naturalness of a person.
Wow,
Hmm.
that's pretty heavy. I mean, not a lot of people put it out like that,
Hmm.
because for some, in my definition of love
Hmm.
would be somewhat similar. I feel like love is, as much as you love and care for a person, make
Yeah.
sure you love yourself enough to not give all yourself away
Yeah.
and then have nothing left when that person leaves you.
Oh,
That's, make sure you're loving yourself.
oh yeah.
Uh,
Because see, because when you love yourself, that's when you can give that kind of love.
exactly.
Hmm.
You know, and I did have two other questions that I wanted to ask for this interview, but I actually kind of want to change it from that.
Okay.
Since we're talking about loving yourself, in that regards, what would you tell a person right now
Mm-hmm.
that is going through, they don't see a light in the darkness,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to figure out where do they start or who do they reach out to? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how what is some things you could tell them to put a pep in their step and just make them feel that there's going to be real hope.
The first thing I want to say to them, to whoever is listening, is that you're worth it, for one. And when you look at yourself, do not just look at your outer exterior, look into your own eyes and see yourself. Walk in your destiny. Because again, you are worth it. You have people that love you. And if you feel like you need someone to speak to, please get help. And that's one thing that you can do for yourself. You can have someone that is a confidant that you trust, or a doctor. Me, myself, being a writer and uh, doing the things that I do in life, I did seek out help for myself. And I had to step into who I was and control my own circle. And that's the big thing. Pick good fruit and make sure you have people that's good in your circle.
Well, I hope everybody that's listening is able to digest that. And if you need to hear it 3 or 4 times, that's why you have a rewind. But what I mean, so you can just you slide it back 10 seconds, slide it back another 20. And that's really great that you're able to put your perspective on that, because a lot of times people just say, hey, just keep pushing, and don't worry about what everybody says. It's like everybody doesn't adhere to certain things the same way. For
Right.
some people, you got to take a little slower with them. You got to, possibly, hold their hand in the sense of saying, hey, look, there's these different outlets where you can go, and you can go to these meetings, or you can look at some certain things on YouTube to help you out, or you can try these breathing exercises if you
Right.
feel like things are so overwhelming and you need to kind of slow down things for you. So there's different things, that people go through that when they look at other people, they say, oh, this person making it, this person doing well, so let me reach out to them. And then when they get turned down because that person feels that they're beneath them and that they should just be at their level already, what did it take for you to get at that level that you're at? You know what I mean? And that's what that person is trying to come to you, humbly and do, so you got
Right.
to make sure you humble as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people fail to realize that you could be that person on the side of the street that you're walking past that you have an issue with when they come bother you. If you have a situation where you lose it all, and now you in that situation, now you respect that person to the utmost.
I'm gonna say this too. If you're ever in a situation, depending on what the situation is, you have to do what's healthy for you, because things that are not healthy for you can destroy you. And just remember that you're going to have to take a faithful step and trust yourself and make executive decisions for your life, bold moves.
Exactly. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with that. And in closing, I would like to ask you this last question.
Mm-hmm.
With everything that's currently going on, especially with the uproar at the Capitol, and not even just that entirely, but just what's been going on in the world, within this past year and everything. Overall, I guess I'll make this 2 questions. First, the question is, what is your overall view on it? And the second question is, do you have any solutions? Even though it's, I know it's a high task, but do you have any possible solutions for it as a second question?
Um, it's funny that you asked me that, because I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine when I was talking with her. With things that is going on, sometimes there has to be some kind of sacrifice and life. And when I'm looking at this situation right here, sometimes they say beauty can be good and beauty can be a curse. And when it comes to the COVID situation, you have to look at it from a perspective to say, if uh, COVID has not had happened, would we be stepping into our dynasty, or would us as a people still be cowarding um, and succumbing to? So with this situation, and to me, it's like it had to happen for a change, a big change in history, and a history as a people. And far as our unity, we really need to step up and step into our unity. And when it comes to the elephant in the room, I say cease black on black crime, because we cannot cry out when we're still hurting each other.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty heavy. It's
Yeah.
pretty heavy. And then as far as for the second question,
Mm-hmm.
any solutions that you have, or just anything you've been pondering about that that you seen in your own daily life that you've changed to possibly cope with everything going on?
I think our coping mechanism should not come from a bottle. I think our coping mechanism should come from within. We have to make changes within ourselves, and we have to learn to understand and look at both sides of the perspective and how this all played out, and never underestimate the opponent, and always check the board before you make a move.
Okay.
Hmm.
That sounds good. I mean, you have a lot of definitely intriguing points on things that are going on in society right now,
Hmm.
and it really helps out a lot of people to hear that you're not being judgmental, or you're not just casting everybody away as, oh, you're your own individual problem, but
Yeah.
understanding that there's different ways to get your point across and to see a change in yourself first. That's where everything starts, at yourself, the nucleus. And then from there, everything can, work to your favor if you keep on moving forward instead of walking backwards.
Oh yeah, and can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Another thing I want to add to when when it comes to this race war, that I'm a biracial female, and I can't denounce my mother or my father, and we of beautiful colors, us sisters and brothers, and we have to remember that we have to think of the whole before we start cutting off the thumb.
Okay, I can definitely
Hmm.
respect that. And my thing I would just add with that would just be, when it comes down to it,
Hmm.
being responsible is a very important thing. Everybody needs to understand, when you see
Hmm.
something and you know it's wrong,
Right.
and you are possibly afraid that, hey, you say something, they're gonna try to retaliate on you or
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
it's better to speak up and say, you know what, I did what I could to stop them, even if it wasn't nothing by holding somebody back. You voice your opinion, or you cause the authorities or other people to come around and help you. That makes
Hmm.
a difference. You could have possibly saved one life, two lives, or your life in general,
Hmm.
because who knows what those two individuals or maybe a group of people could have done to made things worse for a lot of family and friends.
Hmm.
And when it comes to with race, we have people that are biracial, and we have people that are married to somebody of the opposite race.
Right.
Only thing I would tell the listeners, anybody that they that share this with, always remember, you know respect the person you with, and respect the people that you don't know, but also appreciate who you are. Because if you have self-hatred and you are with somebody, or you associate with
Hmm.
somebody because you feel like they make you feel better than those who you grown up with and came, and been around, understand there's billions of people in this world. There's people that look like you that will possibly persecute you, or they will come at you the wrong way, or have negative energy because they possibly may see greatness in you that they haven't harnessed their own, so they have to pull you down, because it's easier when everybody around them looks dirty, or they're not shining. it's
Hmm.
it's it's, it's easier to feel better about yourself. But
Hmm.
understand that as you get older or coming up through life, you're gonna gain people and you're gonna lose people. But just make sure
Yes.
you don't lose yourself. And that's what I would like to just end it as far as on that spectrum. But
Hmm.
do you have any last remarks before we close?
Just be mindful of what you do, because we have young minds that are still watching you. You may look at yourself and say, "I'm no role model," but just remember, even the children are watching you. That's what I would like to close with.
Okay, I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate your time, and I will definitely make sure when this is posted that people, they will be able to have your links and subscribe to you, and hopefully just
Hmm.
check on what you have going on. You are a woman of virtue with a lot of substance, and you have things that you already done that can change the world, and you're going to continue to change the world. So again, I just want to say thank you. And to all the rest of my listeners out there, I just want to say, be blessed, stay safe out here, and also remember to stay rich in mind so you don't make poor decisions.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, this has been another edition of the Mind of Ari podcast. Thank you.